the Middle Ages, often referred to as a dark period in history, has spawned numerous myths and stereotypes that persist to this day. 1. The Middle Ages were completely dark. One pervasive myth is the notion that the Middle Ages were a total period of darkness where society was paralyzed by indifference to knowledge. However, history proves the existence of significant advancements in art, science, and philosophy during this period. 2. Everyone lived in darkness. Not everyone lived in ignorance of knowledge. Monasteries became centers of learning, preserving and safeguarding many classical works from the Greek and Roman eras. Scholars and monks within them were active in advancing knowledge. 3. The Middle Ages were endless misery. Although there were wars and instability, not everyone lived in misery. Economic and trade developments in some major cities brought prosperity to certain segments of society. There were also innovations in agriculture that increased food production. 4. Science came to a halt. In reality, there were significant scientific advancements during the Middle Ages. Contributions in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine came from scholars like Alhazen ibn al-Haytham and Averroes in the Islamic world, as well as figures like Roger Bacon in Europe. 5. All art forms were limited to religion. Art in the Middle Ages was not confined solely to religious themes. While religious art dominated, there were also secular artworks reflecting everyday life, mythology, and other themes. 6. Loyalty was solely to the king and power without humanity. The view that loyalty in the Middle Ages was restricted to the king and ruling power is inaccurate. There are examples of fair and responsible leadership, as well as acts of social benevolence carried out by some rulers. 7. Everyday life was dominated by oppression and violence. Despite insecurity in some regions, it is untrue that everyday life in the Middle Ages was characterized solely by oppression and violence. Communities in certain cities enjoyed relatively high levels of security, and efforts were made to enforce law and order. 8. The Middle Ages were only about war and suffering. Lastly, the myth that the Middle Ages were solely characterized by war and suffering needs further investigation. Despite conflicts and challenges, this period also witnessed urban growth, trade, and cultural exchange, laying the foundations for the Renaissance.